For body parts, she shows if she likes you. Psychology tricks. Right now, somewhere in the world, a woman is revealing exactly how she feels about a man, and she isn't saying a word. No dramatic confession. No late-night paragraph. Just subtle signals flowing through her body like electricity. As Rumi once said, love is the bridge between you and everything. And that bridge is often built in silence. The truth is, attraction rarely announces itself with bold declarations. It whispers through posture, lingers in eye contact, and trembles in the smallest physical shifts. Yet most men never notice. They wait for obvious signs, for certainty wrapped in language, and while they hesitate, the moment dissolves. What changes everything is understanding this. Real attraction is biological before it is logical. Research published in Evolution and Human Behavior shows that women tend to express romantic interest through repeated nonverbal cues long before words enter the picture, often many times over, while men remain unaware. That's not manipulation. It's instinct. It's the body responding faster than the mind. And if you learn to see it, you step into a completely different level of awareness. Because communication is never just verbal. Psychologist Albert Mehrabian famously demonstrated that only a small fraction of emotional meaning comes from actual words. The majority lives in tone and body language. That means when she's talking about something ordinary, work, the weather, a random story, her body may be telling you something extraordinary. The key is observation without desperation, presence without pressure, confidence without assumption. When you understand that the body struggles to hide genuine feeling, you stop chasing reassurance and start reading reality. And once you tune into that silent language, you'll never experience interactions the same way again. The first signal, the neck. Let's begin with the first signal, the neck, and understand this clearly. This is not about anatomy. It is about behavior. It is about timing. It is about intention beneath awareness. When a woman gently tilts her head to one side while you're speaking, when she slowly brushes her hair back and leaves her neck exposed just a little longer than necessary, when her fingers lightly trace the side of her throat as she listens, you must pay attention. Because this is one of the oldest attraction cues embedded deep inside female psychology. And the reason is simple. The neck is vulnerable. It protects the carotid artery, the jugular vein, the airway, and from an evolutionary standpoint, exposing it is never random. It is a quiet signal of safety, a silent message that says, I do not feel threatened here. And safety is the foundation of how to fall in love. Don't ignore that. Don't dismiss it as accidental grooming. Be observant. Be calm, because repetition is the key. Once may be coincidence. Twice could be habit. But 3 or more times in one interaction means her nervous system feels open around you. And that is not a small detail. That is biology speaking louder than words. And this is where psychology tricks often fail men who rush, because they focus on what to say instead of what her body is already saying. And as anthropologist Dr. David Givens has documented, this subtle exposure predates language itself, meaning her body is communicating on a level older than logic. Now expand your awareness further, because the neck rarely acts alone. It is often paired with the second signal, her wrists and palms, and this one is just as revealing. When a woman turns her palms upward during conversation, when she exposes the soft inner wrist while gesturing, when she adjusts a bracelet slowly while maintaining eye contact, understand that the wrists are another vulnerable zone. Thin skin, visible veins, pulse points, and across cultures, the open palm has always signaled trust and non-aggression. So when she shows you her palms frequently, she is not guarding herself, she is open. And openness is the emotional doorway to how to fall in love. Don't mistake this for dramatic flirting. It is subtle, it is quiet, it is rhythm. And rhythm matters in female psychology, because attraction is not a single action, it is a pattern repeated. And if you want to master psychology tricks ethically and effectively, you must watch for clusters of signals rather than isolated gestures. Then comes the third signal, her lips and the way she draws attention to them without announcing it. And no, this is not about overt seduction. It is about micro behaviors, the slight bite of the lower lip when you hold eye contact a second too long, the slow application of lip balm mid conversation, the unconscious touch of her mouth while listening. These are tension releases, and tension only builds when there is emotional charge. And emotional charge is the beginning stage of how to fall in love because attraction is a mix of curiosity and anticipation. Don't misinterpret every lip touch as desire. Be grounded. Be rational. But when combined with neck exposure and open palms, you are no longer looking at random movement. You are witnessing aligned body language. And aligned signals are the backbone of real psychology tricks, the kind that are rooted in observation rather than manipulation. Finally, the fourth signal is her feet and body orientation, and most men completely miss this, yet it may be the most honest of all, because the feet rarely lie. If her torso angles toward you in a group setting, if her knees point in your direction even when others are speaking, if her feet subtly shift to face you despite distractions, that is investment. That is attention made visible. And attention is the currency of attraction. Don't chase words when her body is already choosing proximity. Don't overtalk when her posture is already leaning in. Be steady. Be composed. Because masculine calm amplifies these signals rather than disrupting them. And here is the deeper truth about female psychology. Attraction grows in spaces where a woman feels both emotionally safe and subtly excited, safe enough to expose vulnerability, excited enough to display it. And when you understand these four body areas, the neck, the wrists, the lips, the orientation of her body, you begin to see that how to fall in love is not a dramatic confession, but a sequence of small permissions granted through comfort and curiosity. Psychology tricks, when misunderstood, become tactics, but when understood properly, they become awareness. They become the discipline of noticing patterns without forcing outcomes. And that is the difference between desperation and confidence. You must not react too quickly when you see these signs. You must not escalate abruptly because attraction thrives on pacing, and pacing requires emotional control. When she tilts her neck again, maintain eye contact but soften your expression. When her palms open, mirror her openness with relaxed gestures of your own. When her lips part slightly as she listens, slow your speech, lower your tone, create space. Because space allows tension to breathe, and tension is essential in how to fall in love. Remember this clearly. Her body reveals comfort before her words reveal intent. And if you ignore comfort, you sabotage connection. Be patient. Be observant. Be strategic in a calm way because real mastery of psychology tricks lies not in manipulation, but in reading the quiet language of the body. And when you combine awareness of female psychology with emotional steadiness, you position yourself as the kind of man who understands attraction without chasing it, who notices vulnerability without exploiting it, who allows signals to unfold naturally rather than forcing them. And that restraint, that grounded presence, is what transforms subtle gestures into meaningful connection. Because attraction is rarely loud. It is layered. It is repeated. It is expressed through exposed necks, open wrists, softened lips, and bodies that orient toward you even before the mind consciously decides why. And when you learn to see these signs clearly, you stop guessing, you stop overthinking, and you begin responding with quiet confidence, which is ultimately the most powerful signal of all. The second signal, the inner wrists. Now let's move to the second signal, the inner wrists. This is subtle, quiet, almost poetic, and yet it speaks volumes if you know how to see it. When a woman is attracted, she often exposes her inner wrists, resting her chin gently on her hand with her wrist turned upward, gesturing with open palms as she talks, or placing her hands on the table with the soft underside visible. It looks innocent. It feels natural, but it is not random. That is intentional biology mixed with emotion. The inner wrist is a vulnerable pulse point. The skin is thinner there. The veins are visible. It is an area we instinctively protect when we feel unsafe. In body language research, showing the inner wrist is categorized as a vulnerability display. When someone feels guarded, they hide it. When attraction is present, openness increases. Do not ignore that. Do not dismiss it as coincidence. Be observant. Be calm. Research from the University of Manchester observed that women in early romantic attraction display significantly more open palm and wrist gestures compared to neutral interactions. That is not fantasy. That is data. And like the neck, the wrist is also a fragrance projection point. When she subtly turns it upward, she is not just exposing skin, she is allowing her scent to move toward you. Attraction is rarely loud. It whispers. But here is the deeper lesson. The wrist signal is not about the wrist. It is about comfort. It is about trust. It is about how your presence affects her nervous system. A high-value man understands this. He does not chase signals. He creates the environment where signals naturally appear. That is the difference. When a woman feels tense, judged, or pressured, her body closes. Her arms cross. Her palms disappear. Her wrists tuck inward. That is protection. But when she feels relaxed, intrigued, emotionally safe, her gestures soften. Her hands open. Her wrists turn upward. That is invitation, not necessarily for intimacy, but for connection. And connection always comes first. Do not rush. Do not misinterpret. Be steady. Masculine energy is not about force. It is about grounded presence. When you sit across from her, your job is not to impress her with rehearsed lines. Your job is to hold calm eye contact, speak slowly, and listen. Really listen. Because when she feels heard, her body will respond before her words do. Picture this. She is telling a story. At first, her gestures are minimal. Her hands stay close to her body. Then you ask a thoughtful question. You lean back slightly instead of leaning in aggressively. You smile without tension. Suddenly, she begins to gesture more. Her palm opens. Her wrist turns upward as she explains something. She rests her chin lightly on her hand, exposing that soft inner skin. That shift is not accidental. That is comfort growing. A high-value man recognizes that the body speaks before the mouth. He does not interrupt the language of attraction by becoming needy or overly eager. Don't overreact. Don't point it out. That would shatter the moment. Be composed. Here is where many men fail. They see a vulnerability cue and immediately escalate physically or verbally. That is impatience. And impatience kills attraction. You must understand that vulnerability offered must be met with stability. When she shows openness, you respond with grounded masculinity. That is how you attract women consistently, by being the emotional anchor, not the emotional storm. Masculine energy is calm. It is measured. It does not flinch. If she exposes her inner wrist while laughing at your joke, simply hold the frame. Continue the conversation smoothly. Let the moment breathe. Attraction grows in space, not in pressure. There is also something primal here. Throughout human history, exposing pulse points has been associated with trust. The neck, the wrists, the inner arms. These are areas we instinctively shield when threatened. So when she allows that exposure in your presence, she is communicating something deeper than words. I feel safe enough to soften. That is powerful. Be worthy of that softness. That is your responsibility. A high-value man does not exploit vulnerability. He respects it. And paradoxically, that respect intensifies attraction. When she senses that you are not rushing to take advantage of her openness, her trust deepens. When trust deepens, desire follows naturally. Notice also the rhythm. Is she mirroring your movements? Are her palms open when yours are? Does she turn her wrist upward while making eye contact? These micro moments form a pattern. One signal alone means little, but patterns mean everything. Don't obsess over one gesture. Observe clusters. That is emotional intelligence. If you want to attract women, refine your awareness. Slow down your perception. Most men move too fast mentally. They talk too much. They miss the quiet cues. Be different. Sit in the silence comfortably. Watch how she uses her hands when she laughs, when she thinks, when she teases you. Attraction often reveals itself during these transitions. And here is another subtle layer. When a woman lightly touches her own wrist while talking to you, It can be a self-soothing gesture mixed with heightened awareness. It often happens when she feels a mix of excitement and vulnerability. Do not misread that as nervous rejection. Sometimes it is anticipation. The body regulates itself when emotions rise. But remember this clearly. Signals are invitations to deepen connection, not shortcuts to physical escalation. You must earn progression through emotional steadiness. That is masculine energy in action. Not loud, not flashy, grounded. When she rests her chin on her hand with her wrist exposed, she is also lingering. Lingering means interest. People do not linger when they are disengaged. They withdraw. They look at their phone. They close their posture. If she stays engaged, gestures openly, and keeps that pulse point visible, you are in favorable territory. Stay centered. Do not become outcome obsessed. Attraction is a dance, not a transaction. When you behave like a high-value man, you focus on the experience, not the result. You enjoy the conversation. You enjoy her presence. And ironically, that detachment increases her comfort. The inner wrist is small, soft, easy to overlook. But in the language of attraction, it is profound. It signals that her guard is lowering. It suggests that your presence feels steady. And steadiness is rare. So the next time you are on a date or in conversation, observe quietly. Are her palms open? Are her wrists visible? Does she gesture freely around you? If yes, you're doing something right. Continue being grounded. Continue being composed. Do not force chemistry. Let it unfold. Be the man who understands that real attraction is built on emotional safety first. That is how you attract women with depth. That is how masculine energy operates at its highest level. Calm, patient, aware. The wrist is not just skin. It is a signal. Read it wisely. Respond with strength wrapped in gentleness. And remember, when vulnerability is offered, your response defines whether attraction grows or fades. Be steady. Be intentional. Be the high-value man who knows that true power is quiet. If you understand that attraction is about comfort, not chasing, if you see that vulnerability is earned, not demanded, then step into that awareness right now. Don't just watch, apply it. The next time you notice her palms open and her inner wrists exposed, don't rush. Be calm. Be grounded. That is where real connection begins. Drop this in the comments to lock it in. I stay calm, and she feels safe to open up. Like this video, subscribe for more sharp psychological insight, and remember, attraction grows when a man controls himself first. The third signal, the legs. Now listen carefully, because this is where mature awareness separates you from the average man who is still guessing, still hoping, still reacting emotionally instead of observing strategically. When we talk about the legs as a signal of attraction, we are not talking about fantasy. We are talking about behavioral science. FBI behavioral expert Joe Navarro has repeatedly emphasized that the feet and legs are among the most honest parts of the human body because people consciously manage their faces, their tone, their words, but almost nobody monitors their lower body. The truth escapes downward. And if you develop the discipline to notice it, you gain quiet leverage without saying a word. This is not about tricks. This is about awareness. It is about seeing what is already there. Old Stoic wisdom teaches us to observe reality without distortion. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily to look at things plainly, stripped of drama. You must do the same here. Don't romanticize. Don't exaggerate. Just observe. When you are in a group setting, maybe at a dinner, a social gathering, a networking event, watch where her feet are pointed. Direction reveals focus. Human beings orient toward what interests them. Even when her head turns elsewhere, her feet often betray her true attention. If her toes consistently angle toward you, even while she is speaking to someone else, that is subconscious engagement. That is alignment. The body leans toward desire before the mind admits it. But if her feet point toward the exit, toward another man, or consistently away from you, that is information too. Do not ignore it. Do not argue with it. Data is neutral. Your reaction is optional. That is iron mind discipline. Now let's go deeper. If she crosses her legs while seated and the top leg angles toward you, that angle is not random. It is orientation. Orientation equals openness. When the leg forms a line in your direction, it creates a subtle pathway of energy. When it angles away, it often signals distance or guardedness. This is not mystical. It is spatial psychology. We subconsciously create physical barriers when we are uncomfortable and open pathways when we are interested. Dr. Monica Moore's research on nonverbal courtship behaviors identified slow leg crossing and uncrossing as one of the strongest silent attraction cues because it draws visual attention without appearing aggressive. It is elegant. It is subtle. It is controlled. And men who understand Stoicism know that subtle signals are often the most powerful ones. But here is where most men fail. They see one positive signal and they rush. They panic internally. They overtalk. They lean in too much. They break the rhythm. Do not do that. Attraction thrives in calm environments. Old Stoic wisdom reminds you that your internal state shapes your external outcome. Seneca wrote, "He who is brave is free." Bravery in modern dating does not mean being loud. It means being composed. When you notice her legs angle toward you, when you see that consistent directional openness, you respond with steadiness, not excitement. You stay grounded. You maintain eye contact. You speak clearly. You do not suddenly perform. You remain centered. That calm stability is magnetic. There is also movement to consider. Attraction triggers chemistry, dopamine, adrenaline, subtle nervous system activation. The body cannot fully suppress this. You may notice a gentle bouncing of the knee, a subtle shifting of weight, a soft swaying of the leg when standing. These micro-movements are often signs of heightened emotional energy. Energy seeks release. If that movement occurs while she is engaged with you, smiling, maintaining conversation, leaning slightly forward, that cluster of behaviors becomes meaningful. Patterns matter. Repetition matters. One isolated gesture means nothing. A consistent pattern means something. This is strategic observation. This is iron mind awareness. In modern life, many interactions happen in noisy environments, bars, offices, events, even digital dates transitioning into in-person meetings. Most men are distracted by their phones, by their own insecurity, by internal dialogue. They miss what is happening in real time. You must reverse that habit. Be present. Put the phone away. Slow your breathing. Expand your awareness. When you operate from Stoicism win principles, you do not chase validation. You collect information calmly, and information gives you confidence. Confidence reduces fear. Fearlessness reduces desperation. And desperation is what kills attraction. Another detail to observe is leg exposure and positioning when seated. If she sits with her legs angled toward you and keeps them uncrossed in your direction, that is openness. If she repeatedly repositions to maintain that orientation even when others move around, that consistency is intentional at a subconscious level. Humans are territorial with their bodies. We protect space from those we dislike. We relax space around those we trust. Trust is the gateway to intimacy. Intimacy never grows in tension. It grows in comfort. So your responsibility is simple. Do not disturb comfort. Do not become abrupt. Do not invade her space prematurely. Let her orientation lead the pace. Remember what Epictetus taught. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. If you aim to be a composed, perceptive man, act accordingly. That means patience. That means controlled responses. When you see positive signals in her legs, you do not immediately escalate physically. You escalate emotionally and verbally first. You deepen the conversation. You lower your tone slightly. You maintain relaxed posture. You allow space for her to lean in further. Attraction is a dance of incremental steps, not a sprint. And here is another advanced layer, mirroring. If you subtly shift your stance and she unconsciously mirrors your leg position or foot direction within moments, that is rapport. Rapport indicates synchronization. Synchronization indicates psychological alignment. But do not test this aggressively. Make small adjustments. Lean slightly. Change the angle of your feet. Observe. If she adjusts too, you're building rhythm. If she does not, You maintain neutrality. No disappointment. No ego reaction. That emotional neutrality is iron mind strength. Old Stoic wisdom emphasizes control over your interpretation, not over external events. You cannot manufacture her attraction. You can only recognize it. You can only cultivate an environment where it grows. That is a powerful distinction. Many men attempt to force outcomes. Force creates resistance. Calm creates flow. When her legs repeatedly orient toward you, when subtle movements appear in your presence, when distance closes naturally, your job is not to accelerate recklessly. Your job is to remain steady so she feels safe continuing forward. In modern dating culture, people overanalyze text messages and underanalyze physical presence. But the body speaks first. Words often follow. The legs, the feet, the direction of the knees, these are primitive signals. They bypass social filters. They reveal comfort or discomfort quickly. When you learn to read them, rejection becomes less mysterious because you move only when openness is already visible. That reduces unnecessary risk. That increases smoothness. That builds confidence rooted in evidence, not fantasy. But let me be absolutely clear, never stare at her legs in a way that makes her uncomfortable. Observation must be discreet. Peripheral awareness is enough. You are not scanning like a predator. You are reading like a strategist. There is a difference. Mature attraction is built on mutual comfort, not pressure. If she senses you are evaluating her mechanically, the energy shifts negatively. Keep your focus balanced, face, eyes, posture, tone, while quietly noting lower body orientation. And understand this final principle. Signals invite response, not assumption. When her legs angle toward you, when her feet point in your direction, when subtle movements appear, that is an invitation to continue connection, not a guarantee of outcome. You still must communicate well. You still must demonstrate emotional steadiness. You still must show that you are grounded, reliable, and composed. That is where Stoicism win becomes practical. It is not about coldness. It is about controlled warmth. It is about confident presence. An iron mind does not get intoxicated by small wins. It does not collapse under small setbacks. It remains balanced. When signals are positive, you proceed gradually. When signals are neutral or negative, you withdraw respectfully. No resentment, no frustration, just clarity. Clarity is power. Clarity prevents humiliation. Clarity protects dignity. And here is the ultimate advantage. When you stop chasing and start observing, your behavior becomes naturally attractive. You speak slower. You move slower. You react less. You become centered. That calm center draws attention because it is rare in a chaotic world. In a society driven by impulse, the man who embodies Old Stoic wisdom stands out immediately. He does not need to dominate the room. His stillness commands space. So train yourself. Watch the feet. Watch the legs. Watch orientation. Watch repetition. Stay calm when you see green lights. Stay calm when you do not. That emotional consistency is iron mind mastery. That mastery builds quiet confidence. That confidence changes how you stand, how you speak, how you decide when to escalate and when to pause. And when you consistently operate from that state, attraction becomes less confusing and more strategic. This is not about manipulation. This is about perception. This is about aligning action with evidence. This is about winning through awareness. Stoicism win is not loud victory. It is silent advantage. It is the man who reads the room before he speaks. It is the man who senses openness before he steps forward. It is the man who knows that real strength is composure under emotional stimulation. Remember this. The body reveals what the mouth hesitates to say. Train your eyes. Discipline your reactions. Strengthen your internal state. Practice iron mind focus daily in conversations, in meetings, in every interaction. Because the skill of reading nonverbal cues is not only about attraction. It improves leadership. It sharpens negotiation. It strengthens social intelligence across all areas of life. Master this, and you stop playing guessing games. Master this, and you move with precision. Master this, and you embody Old Stoic wisdom in modern relationships. Calm, observant, strategic, unshaken. That is how you elevate yourself. That is how you win quietly. That is Stoicism win. The fourth and most powerful signal, the torso. The torso is the final and most powerful signal, and if you truly want to understand attraction, not guess at it, not fantasize about it, but read it with calm clarity, you must learn to watch the center of her body. Because when a woman feels safe, intrigued, and genuinely drawn to you, she turns toward you fully. Not halfway, not politely, not by accident, but with her stomach and chest facing you in a direct, open line. And that simple shift tells you more than 1,000 rehearsed compliments ever could. The torso protects the heart, the lungs, the most vital organs. From a survival standpoint, the human body does not casually expose that vulnerable front to someone it does not trust. So when she squares her torso toward you instead of angling away, when she keeps her shoulders aligned with your frame instead of pointing toward the exit, that is not random. That is biology. That is ancient wiring speaking before her words even catch up. And if you study female psychology long enough, you will realize that the body often confesses what the lips carefully filter. Research from Princeton University's Social Neuroscience Lab found that full frontal orientation is one of the strongest early predictors of interpersonal attraction in the first few minutes of interaction, which means you don't have to wait for dramatic declarations or exaggerated flirting. You simply have to observe, and observe with discipline, because attraction clusters in patterns. It stacks in layers. It builds quietly, and the torso is the anchor of that pattern. When she is comfortable, when she feels your presence as steady rather than chaotic, she may lean forward slightly instead of leaning back. She may adjust her clothing in subtle ways, smoothing fabric over her waist or lightly straightening her jacket. She may place a hand on her hip or rest her palm near her midsection. These gestures are what behavioral scientists call ventral displays, signals of openness and receptivity that appear when the nervous system is relaxed rather than guarded. Here is the key insight you must hold firmly. These signals do not operate alone. They cluster. And if you want to master psychology tricks without becoming manipulative, you must look for clusters rather than isolated movements. Do not obsess over one flick of hair. Do not build castles in your mind over one brief glance. Be patient. Be observant. Be grounded. Because when attraction is real, you will notice the exposed neck, the visible wrist, the direction of her legs pointing toward you, and the full torso orientation working together like instruments in a quiet orchestra, each one reinforcing the other, each one amplifying the unspoken message. The more of these signals that appear simultaneously, the stronger the underlying interest. Dr. Monica Moore's research demonstrated that women who displayed 4 or more nonverbal courtship signals within a short interaction were approached nearly 4 times as often as those who displayed fewer, which tells you something powerful. Attraction leaves fingerprints. And those fingerprints are readable if you train your attention. None of these behaviors are dramatic. None of them are theatrical. They're small, subtle, almost easy to dismiss, but they're ancient and biologically wired, and that is why they matter. In modern dating culture, where messages are filtered through screens, emojis, and curated images, men often overcomplicate what is actually very simple. They chase lines. They memorize scripts. They search endlessly for clever phrases. Yet they ignore the most honest channel of communication, the body standing directly in front of them. Don't chase cleverness. Chase clarity. Because clarity comes from watching alignment. And alignment is visible in the torso before it is audible in her voice. When she turns her whole front towards you in a crowded room instead of keeping her body angled away, when her shoulders stay open rather than crossed defensively, when her posture softens and her center line connects with yours, that is not politeness. That is comfort layered with interest. And comfort is the soil in which attraction grows. If you are serious about understanding how to fall in love rather than simply how to impress, you must first understand safety. Because safety precedes desire in female psychology. And safety is expressed through openness of the ventral side of the body. The human nervous system is designed to protect the front when threatened. So if she feels uncertain, tense, or uninterested, Her torso will subtly rotate away. Her shoulders will close. Her arms may fold across her midsection, creating a barrier. But when she feels at ease, when your presence feels grounded and steady, her body will align toward you as if magnetized. This is not magic. This is measurable. This is observable. And this is where disciplined awareness becomes your advantage. Psychology tricks are often misunderstood as manipulation, but true mastery lies in observation, not control, because you cannot force a torso to open toward you. You can only create the conditions where it naturally does. Be calm, be composed, be present, because agitation repels while steadiness invites. When you enter an interaction with quiet confidence rather than restless urgency, her body has room to relax. And relaxation is the gateway to openness. Many men sabotage themselves by leaning too aggressively into her space before she has leaned into theirs. They mistake proximity for progress. But attraction is reciprocal alignment, not pursuit alone. If her torso remains squarely oriented toward you even as distractions occur, people walking by, noise interrupting the conversation, that persistence of orientation tells you her attention is anchored. Attention is currency, and the torso reveals where that currency is invested. Watch for micro adjustments too, because when she subtly repositions her chair or shifts her stance so that her center continues facing you, she is maintaining connection. Do not ignore that. Do not brush it aside as coincidence, because the body rarely invests that kind of alignment without reason. In female psychology, openness of the torso is a declaration without words, a silent statement that says, "I feel comfortable here." And comfort is the doorway to emotional escalation. If you are learning how to fall in love, or at least how to move towards something meaningful, understand that love begins not with grand speeches, but with shared space that feels safe. The torso leaning forward slightly during conversation signals engagement. And engagement is the seed of attachment. When she mirrors your forward lean, when her shoulders subtly angle to match your energy rather than retreat from it, that mirroring reinforces connection. Mirroring is one of the most documented psychology tricks in interpersonal bonding. Yet it works best when it arises naturally rather than mechanically. Do not imitate her movements deliberately. Be authentic. Allow your steadiness to invite synchronization. When synchronization appears, you will see it in the alignment of your bodies before you feel it in the rhythm of your words. This is where patience separates the impulsive from the perceptive. If she displays the neck, the wrists, the legs oriented toward you, and the torso open, and these signals cluster in a short window of time, you are witnessing a pattern that research supports as attraction. If only one signal appears in isolation, slow down. Remain grounded. Gather more data. Resentment clouds perception. Clarity keeps you grounded. The power of understanding psychology tricks and female psychology lies not in forcing outcomes, but in reading reality accurately. Accurate reading prevents unnecessary rejection, because you approach when the door is already slightly open rather than when it is firmly closed. This is how you move with precision instead of pressure. Precision is attractive because it feels attuned. Attunement is rare, and rarity creates value. When she senses that you are not scrambling for signs, but calmly observing, she relaxes further. Relaxation deepens openness. Openness strengthens alignment. Alignment fosters connection. Connection is the beginning of something meaningful. And if you are serious about how to fall in love in a way that feels mutual rather than one-sided, train your awareness on the quiet language of the torso. Don't rush. Don't assume. Don't dramatize. Be steady. Be attentive. Be disciplined. The body speaks in whispers, not shouts. And the man who learns to hear those whispers does not need to chase loudly. He simply recognizes when the center of her body faces him fully, when her shoulders open without hesitation, when her posture leans in rather than away. And he understands that beneath those small ancient gestures lies a simple truth. She feels safe, she feels engaged, and she is allowing space for something to grow. All right, my friend, now you see the signals. You know what a tilted head can mean. You understand what it says when her neck is exposed, when her wrists open up, when her legs angle toward you, when her whole body faces you without hesitation. These are not random movements. They are comfort. They are openness. They are interest expressed without words. And here's my sincere advice. Don't rush it. Don't overreact. Don't suddenly change your energy. Be calm. Be grounded. Be the man who notices, but doesn't panic. That is where most men lose their advantage. If her body is leaning in, your job is simple: create safety, hold steady eye contact, speak with clarity, and lead the conversation forward naturally. You must respond with confidence, not excitement. You must move with intention, not desperation. When you stay composed, you turn subtle interest into real connection. Thanks for spending this time with me. If this opened your eyes to something new, make sure you like the video and subscribe for more practical psychology you can actually use. And remember, signals mean opportunity, but your response determines the outcome. Stay sharp. Stay calm. I'll see you in the next one.